Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I hear the word conspiracy tossed around a lot these days. And it's true, a lot of things that we want to associate with conspiracies are nothing more than coincidence. But I'd like to turn your attention to a few things that were conspiracies and were major conspiracies, and should point us to the fact that conspiracies can and will happen. Greek fire. Oh, yes. Greek fire was a mysterious chemical combination that the ancient Byzantium Empire came up with. And they were able to load this onto their ships and to make makeshift flamethrowers. And anytime you hear makeshift flamethrower and ship together, it's not a great idea. That being said, it helped them to fight off the Turkish Empire for 500 years. But this knowledge is lost to us because the conspiracy is they held the entire knowledge to themselves and wouldn't give it up even under torture. So you know what? That ancient weapon is lost to us simply because the conspiracy was that great. And that's the point of conspiracies. It's concealing knowledge. It happens to the very present day. Do you know there's still secrets from 1919 that have yet to be revealed? And these are boring secrets like encryption protocols from 1919. We live in 2021. We have encryptions that are way beyond anything they could have imagined in 1919, and the basic computer programmer could figure it out in half a second if they were given a chance. But the fact is, that knowledge is still guarded to this very day, because 1919, yes, those encryptions are still valid. I wonder what kind of information would be held for that long. Well, I have an example of that information. The nuclear bomb. Yes, we all know how it's theoretically possible. You smash two spheres of uranium together and you get an effective nuclear bomb. Or you enrich some plutonium and you have fuses arranged in a particular way, and that gives you a potential nuclear bomb. Now, at the time, this knowledge was a conspiracy. They kept things very secret, even to the point where when they went to the Potsdam conference, they were still speaking up the nuclear bomb in coaching terms. They didn't want to let anything go. Now, at this point, Stalin and his KGB had almost certainly penetrated the United States nuclear program, which the United Kingdom and France and some German defected scientists were contributing to. But there was a conspiracy to keep it secret. Just because it's the most revolutionary possible weapon ever to impact a war means that you're going to keep it secret. And there's a major conspiracy involving millions and millions, to borrow The Rock's catchphrase, that said they wanted to keep the nuclear bomb a secret. And they were successful, even to this day. It's difficult for even a business to build a nuclear bomb. We know what is involved in it. Heck, every high school person learns what is involved in building a nuclear bomb. If not in theory, then in practice. Again, smash enough uranium-235 or uranium-238, I forget which is the major catalyst. Sorry, chemistry was not my major subject. But you take two spheres and throw them at each other with enough force, and you're going to get a nuclear explosion. In the kiloton range, it's ugly. But same token, there's still a major conspiracy worldwide that says you're not allowed to have nukes unless we allow you to have them. Yes, it's a nuclear non-proliferation treaty. It's a conspiracy in plain sight. and the nuclear bomb was a conspiracy in plain sight. It's quite frankly miraculous that either one made it out of its infancy, but the fact is they both did, and they're still in effect to this very day. Nuclear secrets. Oh goodness, where could I go from here? Well, let's look at the SR-71. Beautiful plane. Basically 10 years removed, or less than, from the U-2 Dragon Lady. Now, the U-2 Dragon Lady is essentially a great big version of the F-104 with bigger wings. But it's still in service today. It doesn't do Mach 2 plus for its entire transit. As a matter of fact, it's really quite slow compared to like the F-35, the F-18, the F-16. The U-2 is still a product of its time. It can go in bursts up to great speed, I grant you that, but its ability to be effective is the fact that it's still a 1950s design, just like the B-52. And you can put a lot of things into that space that were freed up with microprocessors and, Silicon Valley stuff, that kind of thing. The fact is, the SR-71 is out of service despite the fact that it could have even benefited further from modernization. But the U-2 is still soldiering on, and it's still as secret as ever, the U-2 Dragon Lady. Despite the fact it's about 50, 60 years old, she's still a classified bird. Now let's turn our attention to something a little more interesting. The Jfk Assassination. Oh yes, there's a conspiracy here, because they've never released the evidence. They know something we don't. And if they don't know something, why would they be afraid to release it to us? I'm not going to say, by the way, I'm sniffing, nothing COVID, but it's just the allergies in this present time. And also the fact it's my birthday, so yeah, I decided to record a show and hang out with my fellow Silverlights, because you are the light that drives me to illuminate that which lies in darkness. But back to the JFK conspiracy. Something weird happened here. Even the most rational person that believes in nothing would have to look at the evidence and say, there's something messed up here. You just cannot walk away from this thing. The first peculiar thing, well, the magic bullet would be the first peculiar thing. This thing bounced around his car like a frickin' ping pong ball, not losing energy and shredding everybody, but not hurting the First Lady. Peculiar. But let's allow that to just saturate in. And you know what? It can saturate in. Because the other thing is, who the hell took the shot? It didn't come from the Texas Book Repository, the library up there, which is where supposedly Oswald took his shot. Now, an interesting thing, they're starting to try to rehabilitate the name of Oswald. Clara Oswald was recently a companion for the Doctor, as in Doctor Who, the British time-traveling TV series. They're taking the name Oswald from being a shame and making it something that you can be proud of. Now, this is bound to happen, but you have to remember, Oswald was somebody that defected to the Soviet Union and married a woman over there and then came back. A double defection was unheard of in those days. And this gentleman defected both ways and then was allowed to be around the president. And this sounds extremely dubious because, quite frankly, at the time, the FBI, the CIA, and everybody had really good records on people they thought were suspicious. I have said a couple times that what they knew about people back then was way more than you think of, and that was back using gumshoe techniques. They would knock on the door, they would ask questions, and they would say, okay, what do you think about Bill? Oh, Bill's a good guy. Really? Okay, Bill's a good guy. tell me about your experiences with Bill. Oh, Bill used to hang out with me at the dock, and he would help me offload my fish every day. Really? Bill sounds like a good guy. Yeah. He owes me $5, but Bill owes you $5. And this is the way the old investigations would go on. And they would really bring up a lot of things about people. So when you see the redacted parts of documents where that black marker goes around them and erases things, yeah, that's there because, quite frankly, a lot of personal information is involved. And they want Mrs. Grundy from 1937 being harassed by people in 1967 or 1999, if she's still alive, to say, hey, Mrs. Grundy, did you say this about Mr. Bill? And this is one of the things people don't understand about the redactions. The redactions are fully justified. Mostly. I won't say fully. That was a bad word to choose. But I'll say they're mostly justified simply because they're trying to protect people's privacy. Now, this means it's very hard for us to follow up and say, hey, 50 years later, what happened? Who did they talk to? Who are these people? So we can get some sort of identity of some sort of idea of what's going on. Conspiracy. It's all a conspiracy to keep the truth from us. The truth is, we don't even know half of the things that are being hidden from us. We don't even know what we don't know. Lockheed, Skunk Works, the same program that put forth the SR-71 when people were thinking the best technology that the U.S. had was the F-104 Starfighter. Conspiracies happen all the time. Now, the question always is it a beneficent conspiracy or a malicious conspiracy? Because there are both. The one that kept the SR-71 a secret so that way it could fly above Soviet skies, I'm not going to have a problem with that. But the one that killed JFK, and I am not a JFK fan. I have never said anything good or bad about JFK simply because I don't know enough about him. I was not alive at that time, and I have nothing to say about him because I don't have any personal experience with him. But the fact that the United States took out their own president, that's concerning. And what other conspiracies do we have to worry about? Well, we know on 9/11, September 11th, 2001, there are two choices. The United States let it happen, or the United States made it happen. That means somebody knew. They were given enough warning. They were given all the records we have all say September 11, 2001 was known to be about to happen. So what conspiracy theory are we going to follow? I wanted to follow the let it happen. I was willing to admit George Bush might have been a patsy. I was willing to admit the United States might have had a problem. But certain things have come to light recently that have swayed my ideas to the other side. They made it happen, and I do not like saying that. I don't like to think they're going to turn on their own, but the fact is, you can't look at those photos in a way that we're going to present them and not think something bad is going on here. I'm going to give you some homework. Go look at the fuselage of any plane in service today for a civilian transport. Pretty smooth hull, isn't it? Yeah. And when you go over the 9/11 photographs, those hulls are not smooth. There's something underneath them. As a matter of fact, it looks like a lot like the laser attack pods that are being debuted on the F-15 and F-16s of those times. Now, why would a civilian aircraft need an extra fuel pod, an extra anything that might stick out of its fuselage? Because It's not like the military where you can afford to carry weight for fuel and stuff like that. No, a civilian aircraft is just simply meant to get from point A to point B, and that's what they're meant to do. They rent their engines, they get their fuel, they do all that sort of thing, and they're designed to go from point A to point B. Whether it's across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, that's its run. But now, look at the footage. It's been 10 years. It's time we start addressing this stuff. So, with a bit of luck, I'll have my wingman around here so that we can start talking about this in better detail. Empty box. You know why? Because we're going to fill it with knowledge. That knowledge is how conspiracies make the world work. Like it or not, your boss is involved in a conspiracy because he goes behind closed doors and talks about you whether you like it or not. Your grocer is involved in a conspiracy. It's not intentional. They're not intentionally trying to screw you. At the same token, if the grocery store around the street raises their price by 2 cents, your grocer is going to raise their price by 2 cents. The gas stations. Oh my God, the conspiracy there. Where do I even begin? They check in with each other and they raise prices all together. You know why? Because it's good for business. And every once in a while, one of them will be cheaper just to give you the illusion of choice. Life is a conspiracy. People conspire together simply because that's the way survival is dictated. Not for you and I, but for the elites. I'll leave you with that to chew on for now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. For those of you who tuned in today, please like, share, and subscribe. And we hope everybody has a fantastic day.